What's up, everyone? We have a pretty big letter coming from Howitzer of Offworld today, which features a roadmap for the future of Squad. So hit the subscribe button, leave a like, drop a comment down below with what you're most excited about. And if you or your buddy doesn't have Squad, you get 30% off using my code SLADE3K30 at the link in the description below. Howitzer starts off by talking a little bit about the situation with regards to 9.0 and the most recent playtest, which was considered the last playtest. And as we know, they've revised some of their release timelines, but including 9.0, it looks like Offworld had 4+ releases planned for this year. And it seems that this back end of the year may be pretty packed because we haven't seen much yet. So they have merged some of the smaller updates that they had planned after 9.0 into a couple of major releases. There's some big content pieces, features, and improvements, but this also allows them 2 big releases to focus on and some room between 9.0 and version 10 of Squad. This also gives them opportunities for more public playtests with Unreal Engine 5 to help get this thing up to speed. Howitzer goes on to break down how the roadmap is set up, which we'll get to in just a moment. He references the fact that this is not meant to be a roadmap that specifies dates. Instead, it's more of a developmental showcase. There's 3 sections to the roadmap. One is next update, which references what's coming in 9.0, followed by the in progress section, which is things Offworld is currently or actively working on, followed by the planning section, which is going to reference outlines, concepts of things, mostly in early planning or testing stage, not expected in the near future, but more long-term plans. Now, here is the full roadmap provided by Offworld. So let's break down what's in this image. So obviously with 9.0, we get Unreal Engine 5, we get new vehicle physics, new lighting scenarios, Al-Bazr map rework, IMF faction updates, which we've talked about before, and a weapon skin pack. And I am wondering with this image if this is the first look at the upcoming weapon skin pack releasing with 9.0. Now, outside of the weapon skin pack, a lot of this has already been in the playtest, so you should be pretty familiar with it. But we know the IMF is getting some additional weaponry in the T-72. They're going to have a scout drone for infantry and the VSS. It just seems like some light additions to the faction that go along with the new Al-Bazr, new vehicle physics, and everything else that's going to come with 9.0. But if we go to the next section, the in progress section, you're going to see a few things that might be new, including a commendation system, which appears to be a social progression feature. But what does that mean exactly? It appears you're going to earn tokens for playing rounds of Squad. Those tokens don't transfer to the next round, but instead you use them at the end of the round on the scoreboard to award your teammates with commendations. And then there will be some form of commendation rank system on a career screen that'll display the commendations you've earned. I'm interested to see how this reward system works out and if it does incentivize better play. Next up, we have upgrading to 5.5, something that is currently in progress and that we're pretty aware of because that's attached to the playtesting for Unreal Engine 5. Next, we have a new faction, the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Outside of factions like Germany and France, this is one that often comes up in conversation as a wanted faction for the game by the community. And here's a couple of renderings of what the infantry may look like, specifically squad leaders. It also appears the faction will be abbreviated as AFU. I'm also really interested to see how this faction gets equipped. But given the geographic location, it makes sense that we're also going to get an Eastern European biome rework. And we have our first work in progress image. This rework is going to include new buildings, props, and foliage. And we'll get these maps closer or up to speed with Unreal 5, which I think will also help with performance. So that's pretty exciting to see some of these maps get a nice refresh with the new engine. Next, we have the Ground Forces of Iran. This is not a new faction. This is converting our current MEA, Middle Eastern Alliance faction, to the Ground Forces of Iran. What remains to be seen is how much may change within the faction itself. And it looks like we're going to get a party system. I would expect this to be an expansion of the friends list system that has already been in the game for just a little while now. So far, that's pretty exciting. I'm happy to get a new faction implemented, and I'm really stoked for the Eastern European biome rework. Let's shift to the third column, which is several things that Offworld has in the planning phase. First, we see UI updates, main menu and customization rework. Next to that, and a little bit understated, is the French Land Army, a new faction coming to Squad. Some of you may be familiar with the French Army mod that currently exists on the workshop. Many of you have been asking for that mod to be added. I'm not sure if that is the case here, but at least we are getting the French Land Army, another conventional faction added to the game. Next up, and one of the things I'm most excited about would be the territory control rework. I know many of us have been wanting something like an update for Random Advanced and Secure and Advanced and Secure, but I'm excited to see a different game mode getting some sort of update. And having something outside of Random Advanced and Secure, and Invasion would be great to have in the rotation. Something we already know Offworld has been working on is anti-air and CAS helicopters. We know this has been ongoing in the background to some extent because it's been teased by Offworld. Then we have emotes version 3, gestures inside vehicles and emotes outside of main. I'm curious to see how this will be implemented and what it looks like. We have the Brigade system, an in-game clan system, which has been something I've heard a lot of folks asking for quite some time. This is just another social system added within the game, probably expanding upon some of the stuff we already talked about. Now, a few additional items would be to improve modding tools, which I'm sure a lot of folks will be excited about, especially those modders. Picture-in-picture optimization, something that we all would like to have. And finally, an expansion of server owner tools, which I'm sure server owners are going to be really happy about. I'm really pleased that Offworld has given us some sort of roadmap as to what they're working on, what's in development, and what we can expect coming to Squad. While we may not have a lot of information around the dates that these are going to release or the timeline, I think it's neat to at least have some sort of projection of what to expect. And this is definitely something the community has asked for more transparency around of what to expect for the game. I know myself as a creator, I've asked for this as well, and more information around what we can expect. So this is pretty exciting. Obviously, a lot of this hinges on how 9.0 releases, because that is clearly the biggest hurdle right now, is getting Unreal 5 implemented into Squad. Now, I'd be curious to know what you guys are most excited about beyond 9.0. I mean, to some extent, I'm really excited for some updates to factions and or new factions out of the game because we have been in that drought. I would also like to see some map updates. Of course, the Eastern European biome rework is exciting, but I do think we need some new maps added into the mix at some point as well. It's really interesting to be able to look ahead beyond just 9.0 because that has been such a large kind of thing that's been hanging over us as the next big thing we need in Squad, right? And now we're starting to see what we may get beyond that, some of which we know about or know pieces of, but then we're starting to see the larger picture that Offworld has designed in terms of what to expect and what's coming to the game itself. One thing that I'm not really sure how it's going to play out with the community is some of the social features. For example, does the party system bring everybody onto the same team in a server? Is that how it operates? Do commendations start to affect gameplay, especially for newer players that are looking or seeking out these commendations? It does appear that these can be displayed, which is a somewhat of an incentive. The Brigade or in-game clan system is something that I think a lot of communities have asked for to help kind of unite their groups under some sort of banner. So I think that'll be nice for teams and communities just to have something in-game that shows some form of unity. That seems like a good concept to me. I'm curious about how the others are implemented and how they operate. Now, to come back to 2 points on this roadmap that I think are really significant that aren't going to affect as many people would be improving modding tools, which I think is significant because the more in-line Squad becomes with modding opens up more opportunities for things to be implemented in the game to just add to the fun and the variety that we can have. Additionally, expanding server owner tools is something significant, especially if you've talked to server owners and moderators of servers. So while maybe your average Squad player isn't necessarily excited for improved modding tools or expanded server owner tools, these are big things that will help the community. So as I mentioned earlier, drop a comment down below with what you're most excited about. I'm excited to see plenty of this, but I'm more excited to see this sort of transparency that Offworld has applied to this and giving us a look at what's coming to Squad down the road. As always, hit the subscribe button so you can get more updates on what's coming to Squad. Leave a like, and I'll catch you guys next time.
He's got a pistol. Kid free. Thank you.